Hey, this is Phil Wickham, and you can hear it all at hereatfirst.com. Yeah, the new album's called The Ascension, and I am more excited about this project from start to finish than I have been about any record so far. I'm just so thankful for every song. I feel like each one serves a purpose, is there for a reason, and I can't wait to share it with people. The idea of The Ascension comes from the Psalms. So I was reading through the Psalms, and there's a few songs that are through Psalms in the Psalms that are subtitled Songs of Ascent. And as I kind of looked into that, there's a lot of people that believe, scholars and pastors or whatever, that these were special songs that were set aside for the people of Israel back in the day when there was like a temple and God dwelt there, and it was the holy city of Jerusalem. And during the year there's a couple festivals or feasts, they were called. They were nationwide things that all the people would come from all different places of the nation of Israel and climb up these hills of Jerusalem into the holy city. And so as they were literally ascending, they would sing these songs of ascent, the songs of worship and remembrance, and there's holy special songs. And I just thought that was a beautiful picture as I kind of thought that through. Like, man, this whole nation, the people of God, like walking up this hill, excited to be in God's presence, because back then it says in the Bible that God literally dwelt in that temple, and His glory was there. And it just made me start thinking, like, what is a modern song of ascent today? Because no longer is there like a temple to point at to say that's God's glory over there, because what Jesus did on the cross, we are the temple, we are the church, we are His body. And it says when we gather together that God dwells in the praises of His people. And I think that's, since I've been able to lead worship with big and small, just groups of people so many times, I've seen God move in such special ways in those moments, and seen that promise that God would dwell there to be so true. And so I kind of wanted to be like, I want to write some modern songs of ascent, modern songs of wanting to be in God's presence, and so that's what a lot of this theme of this record is about, wanting to be in God's presence and more of Him in our life, and for the thirst for Him to grow. And I think a lot of the songs are like that because of the prayers I was praying for myself. So I think it's so easy to, especially in America today, like it's so easy to think of church as a destination that you go to on Sundays, rather than like a state of being in a community, and a way of life, that we are the church, and so that's what I hope this record creates, that kind of thirst for more of God for people.
Worthy is the King who conquered the grave.
This is Amazing Grace is a song. It's like a celebration song about the grace and love of God, this King of glory who speaks stars into existence but died on a cross for our sins. It's just the best story ever told, and it's celebrating that story. And this song was written over the longest period of time, I think, of any song I've written, because this one I started writing with a buddy named Josh Farrow, who used to be in the band called Paramore, back when I wrote this song with him. And we got together and wrote the song. This is Amazing Grace. We recorded a really cheap demo version. That demo exchanged hands over the next couple of years. Ended up at this church called Bethel in Reading. And so like 3 years later, I get this email from Jeremy Riddle at Bethel. He's a worship leader there. It says, "Hey, we like this chorus. Can I try to rewrite the verses or the verse lyrics?" And I was like, "Of course you can." And so he sent me a new version of the song, and it was way better than ours. And so it just, over this like 3-year period, the song was written, and it's a very special one to me. It's been awesome singing it with people. But I feel like the best songs come for me. I think there's like the inspiration part, and then there's like, for a rhyming word, the perspiration part. I can write songs. If I need to sit down and write a song, I could write it. But I feel like a lot of times maybe some of the same stuff comes out. It's the stuff that's easy to put, the stuff that rhymes really easily, the love like a dove from above kind of stuff that is easy to put together. But if I wait for those moments that are special, I feel like moments where God reveals Himself to me in just a new, fresh way. Like I've grown up knowing about God, read the Word, and there's still a lot to learn. But I feel like I've got a good foundation of what it means to be a follower of Christ, and but there's still new ways to view the cross and how it relates to me, and there's still new ways to see. There's infinite ways to see God's love or God's grace or His story in new ways. And just once in a while, whether it's through my little girls or through my wife or through music or art or something I'm reading or whatever, God just kind of twists that big gem that is something of Him, and I see it just in a little different light, and it's like, wow, that's a song right there. I just got to figure out what it is now, And so those moments of inspiration are a little bit few and far between, but when it happens, I love to jump on them and kind of chase down what that means, what that truth, that kind of fresh way of for me to see something, what that fresh truth means in a song form. Worship leader. If I had to choose one of those three. So when I say worship leader, just best describes me, I don't mean that in like the job kind of definition way, because I feel like if you think of worship leader, like capital W, capital L, semicolon, some guy's name, and read it in the church bulletin. That's not what I'm talking about, even though that's an awesome way to be. My dad's been a worship leader at church for my whole life, but just I guess in the fact that when I'm most satisfied as an artist or a songwriter is when my songs are being used to lead people in worship, and I don't think that it makes me more holy or makes someone who does it for the sake of just the beauty of the art any less holy. That's how God has made me. I've found is that when I'm writing songs and creating music that leads people in worship, that whether it's in a church setting or it's in a moment where people are just sitting back listening to a song and being blessed with the truth of God or thinking about Him in a fresh way, or it doesn't have to be in the traditional sense of even leading worship, but when it's creating a moment where people can encounter God and respond to Him, I think in that sense I'm probably a worship leader more. I think I would say if I was just most satisfied with people being inspired by the art, then I think I'd probably be an artist a little bit more than a worship leader. Or if I'm most satisfied in crafting the song, maybe it'd be something. But I think because of the goal of songwriting and art is worship leading for me, I guess.
Worthy is the King